everyone. Welcome back to the ROYL Podcast. This is episode 1 of season 6. And we're kicking off this season with a shot of espresso, almost, if you would. So we're kicking it off with a new friend of mine here. His name is Aaron, and he is the content creator behind Coasters and Coffee. So let's go ahead and welcome Aaron to the virtual studio. How you doing, Aaron?
Good. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, and really excited to be a guest on the Ride of Your Life podcast. I really love the content, love the opportunity to listen to other people's stories and about Christ, about coasters, and everything in between. So definitely an honor and a privilege to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. It's great to have you on this week to talk all things Christ, coasters, and coffee. So with that being said, let's go ahead and dive right in. So let's begin with you sharing your testimony, just a little bit about yourself, who you are, and just whatever you want to share as an introduction. Go ahead.
Cool. Yeah. So I grew up in a Christian house, kind of going to church. I remember very little from that church. I honestly remember nothing about it, and I don't know how it was doctrinally or anything, but my grandmom went there, and she was extremely doctrinally sound. So I feel like I probably went to a pretty good church, but I was involved with like the youth ministries and stuff like that. But it was not the greatest situation, for me to be in, and so kind of went through the motions. Went to church on Sunday, jumped in, was more excited to hit Burger King after church than I was actually to do anything church related. Kind of spent most of my life as a lukewarm, Christ out of convenience type. When I needed somebody to bail me out, I would pray, and outside of that, I would just live for the world. Went through college, and finally, right after college, a couple years after college, I would say I was probably about 22. Started to actually, take things serious and found a good church to go to. I actually had a guy that I worked with who would always tell me, "Hey, there's a seat open for you next to me every Sunday." And I finally took the initiative and said, "Hey, Kyle, take that seat. What time?" And then he didn't answer me. And so 3 weeks went by. He said, "I'm sorry, I just saw this." And he said, 10:30, seat is still open. And yeah, it was a good church. I started to learn more and started to actually take things serious. I still was living for the world, and very poor example of how to be a Christian. But the Lord looks for broken messes like us that He can spiffy up. And so I spent some time there and met my wife, which was really cool. And that was sort of right around the time I started to take things a little bit more serious, started to try to read the Bible, be a little bit more of a good Christian. I know we don't have good and bad Christians per se, but live a little bit more biblically, and try to be that light for those around me. And like a few months later, one of my friends was like, "Hey, got somebody for you to meet." Long story short, we started chatting for a little bit, and now we're married. We have 2 kids, and she's awesome. She's very, very strong Christian, and I learned a lot from her. We've since left that church and found another church that a little bit harder hitting, which is more her style. I like the I don't want to say like the fluffiness, but there was more focus on forgiveness there. So we found a really great church. She's been a huge encouragement, huge supporter. So I don't know what I did in those like 2-ish years where I started to take things a little bit more serious, but the Lord definitely rewarded me beyond what I ever would have imagined. And so blessed with a great, very strong biblical wife, and two beautiful kids, and He's just continued to work in my life, and He's always been there. And there had been so many things where I think, as I look back as an adult, if I would have just stopped and thought about it, I probably would have appreciated it more. But very, very happy with how things turned out. I had some health issues, and just remember being at the hospital. They were doing a scan for something in my thyroid, and my mom was praying, and they were scanning to see what it was, not if it was there. And my mom is praying in the waiting room, Doctor comes out, she's like, it's gone.
Hmm.
It's not there.
That's awesome.
It's like only God does that. And I was like a teenager, so I was just like, cool, it's gone, I'm fine, I'm healthy. Like I never stopped to think. And so as I reflect back on these things, it's cool. It's cool to see. It's cool to see your testimony after it's kind of been growing, and the Lord has just guided us through so many really cool things. Lost my job. Lost my job on a Wednesday, proposed on a Saturday. So it was a good one. And it was one of those things where just took a step back, finally took a step back and said, Lord, I don't know where this is going, but I know it's going to be great. This is very uncomfortable, but finally, kind of put that faith in the Lord, was able to get into a career that is really rewarding and was something I wanted to do for a while, sort of through my wife's encouragement, took me out of a miserable job. One of those, I knew it took 5 minutes to get to my desk. So I sat in the car until 7:55, could get in, get logged on and be good to go. But just to a career I enjoy and things I enjoy and just everything you can imagine along the way. And so I'm still growing. I am definitely still learning and, learning to be more bold and be that good example and try to be that good example for my kids. But man, God is just good, and God has done really cool stuff, and he has done so much for me that I just simply do not deserve. And it's been a wild ride, but yeah, I don't have a come to Jesus moment or any of those big, kind of the veil being removed. But I knew the Lord was there, and after many years of, again, it was just a convenience thing for me and going through the motions, he's just started to reward us with blessings beyond belief. And so better late than never for us to get started and for me to get started. And so it's a cool, I feel like it's a cool testimony about it's never too late. And early 20s again isn't old by any means, but that path that you're on is never too far gone. And he'll do really cool stuff, and he'll do it before you even realize he's going to do it. And so that's kind of my testimony overall.
Awesome, man. And what is some advice you'd give yourself or someone that's in your shoes there, back when you were younger? Now, looking back at your life, what is something you would tell yourself about what God's done in your life recently, if that makes sense?
Stop expecting God to be where you want him to be, and start expecting to be where God wants you to be.
That's good.
And I always wanted God to meet me where I was. And it wasn't until I started going where he was telling me to go that things got better. And so that's my biggest advice would be.
Absolutely. And if you seek the Lord, he will be found. And that's something awesome. And it's cool to hear that testimony of your mom praying for you and what you felt was like your lowest point there, with your health issues and things like that, and see God work as the great physician and not really think about it that way at that time, but to look back at your life like God could have easily went a completely different direction, but he chose to heal you up and to get you to where you are now. And it's just one of those things I love about this portion of the interview. I love the interviews in general, but just hearing people's God stories and their stories in general, I love it. And it's neat to hear that you grew up hearing these things about God, but ultimately making it real to yourself. And through your whole testimony, what would you say is the one moment where it just clicked and God became real? Where would you say that was?
I'm going to take this back a little bit, back to the little church near the Burger King. Mm-hmm. One of my earliest church memories is they were doing communion, and they did a loaf of bread. It was a small church. They had bread. And I looked at my grandma and I said, "This is great. I'm hungry." And she said, "You will sit in that chair. You will not go up, and you will not take that bread." But she never explained to me why that was wrong. Yeah. So I was scared of communion forever
Oh,
because of this. And unfortunately, I don't think I ever shared this with her before she passed away. But um, I eventually, the church that I met my wife at, they would have people come up and pray over communion, and I would never. I would keep my hand down. I wouldn't ask for the elements. I was like, I'm not welcome to communion right now. And I think it was like the finance guy. I honestly don't remember who it was, but he just explained why we have communion and why we're doing it and what it means.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's why she was so mad when I said, great, I'm hungry. Let's get that bread. And that was really the moment that stuck out to me. I don't know what, it was just the Lord speaking to me through that individual, because I had heard communion messages, many communion messages, and never did it register like that. And it was the finance guy. I wasn't even a pastor. He was just an elder, and he was the finance guy. And I actually never told him that, and I kind of wish I would have. But he just explained what each element, and it was very accessible. It's very easy, a simple explanation of what each element meant, why we do it. Take that pause, check in, talk to the Lord, um, and it clicked, and it was like that light went on, and I stopped with the passive listening, but not really listening, and started to seek and to do devotionals and read the Bible, and it was sort of that magnitude of what was given up for me, who didn't deserve it, who for 20 something years was pumped for communion because of the bread, or who wanted the Lord when I needed to be bailed out. And it was just a really cool moment. And I still keep, I keep my eyes closed. I keep my head down for a very long, whenever we take communion. And I just, it's become a very, very sacred thing to me because of that, because I think that is where that light clicked, and that it took that explanation from somebody who talks like once a year in front of the church. But it was, I would say that was probably where everything started to kind of fall in line and really come together.
Amen. And on the thought of communion and what it means, I don't think I've ever asked this before on the podcast, but what does the cross mean to you in that sacrifice that Jesus paid, that we observe during communion?
Yeah. It means a lot. I mean, to think of what was endured for us by someone who created us, by someone who at any moment could have just made it stop and didn't. I mean, how do we know love like that? How do we experience love like that? There's nothing we could deserve. That is the epitome of going to the cross. That is the epitome of taking one for your children, to protect and save your children, and to show them love. And it's I'm very into music, and I still have a hard time listening to songs that address that topic, because I just can't imagine going through that. I mean, as a father, as someone with children, imagining my children going through that, it's the magnitude of it is just, you can't wrap your head around it. You can't wrap your head around what the cross means. And so it's just it's such a good, firm reminder of why we are called to be different, because somebody, our Lord, our Creator, went through unbearable torture for us, because they love us, because He loves us, because He wants us in heaven with Him. Whew. I just get emotional. I get a little choked up talking about it. It's a beautiful thing. The cross is beautiful.
It is. And like you said, it's unfathomable to think that the God of the universe willingly laid down His life for us sinners. We didn't deserve it. We deserve to go to hell. But by His love, we are able to go to heaven if we put our faith and trust in what He did on that cross. And that's the whole mission of Ride Your Life, is to people to come to the cross. It's great to talk about coasters. It's great to talk about coffee and all the stuff we're going to be talking about today. But at the end of the day, have you come to the foot of the cross? Have you laid it down at the feet of Jesus, admitting you're a sinner, believing on who he is, and calling upon him to save you? That's all it is. And that's the most important decision you'll ever make in life. And there's plenty of big decisions we have to make in life, but ultimately the one that seals literally our fate for eternity is what we do with the cross at the cross. So that was a good thought there, Aaron.
Thanks.
And so faith plays a big part in your life, and then coasters and coffee as well. So let's go ahead and dive into some coffee talk. Let's grab a cup of coffee here. And where did your love of coffee begin? How did you get into coffee?
Okay, so humble beginnings. I was always like the 13 sugars, 15 pumps of syrup, 28 gallons of chocolate, and one little sip of coffee type. But I'm also lactose intolerant, so it's not a good combo. And I loved those drinks. I would always get them. And one day, I have no idea why. I was in college. I was like, it would be really cool to just get a black coffee. If I just get a black coffee, I want to see what people do. Thinking I was doing something groundbreaking. I'm not going to get this sugar milk with a little touch, a little floater of coffee on top. So I got a black iced coffee at a Dunkin' Donuts down the street from me, and I was like, took a sip. This isn't that bad. Like I could do this. And so from that point on, I just started drinking black coffee. But I was, your run of the mill like Folgers, Maxwell House type, whatever my parents had. I'll be honest. I was in college. I was just either cramming with extra large Dunkins or drinking whatever my parents were brewing. And it wasn't actually until the Christmas before my wife and I bought our house. We were engaged, and I was employed. She agreed to marry me after I lost a job, but at this point we were back on the feet. We were doing all right. But she, and this is a really cool story. I love sharing this story because it just speaks to the character of my wife. It's Christmas. We're at my parents' house. We're doing our Christmas presents. We're in the process of house shopping, and I open up a French press and a percolator, and I'm like, yes, this is awesome. Like, you see French presses, they're cool. Yeah. She goes, I'm sorry, I hope you like these. And I was like, well, why are you sorry? And she's like, I bought you one of those Ninja, like all-in-one. It had the drip, it had the espresso, it had a cold brew maker, it had a K-cup. It was like the do-it-all. She's like, and then I saw on the back there was a cancer warning. So I returned it. And I looked up the best French press and the best percolator that I could find. And I was like, this is amazing. I'm like, thank you. Like, this is a fantastic gift. And it's really cool. Like she saw a warning that could make me sick because of microplastics and returned it. Who thinks like that? Really, really awesome. And so we moved in, and she's like, it's a little bit more work. I'm like, no, it's fine. And my buddy got me a grinder, really good grinder for my housewarming gift, because he's like, if you're French pressing, we got to get you on whole bean. I'm like, yeah, buddy, let's do it. So I forget when she got me it. But she got me my first, it's still my favorite everyday go-to coffee. It's by a roaster called One Village, and it's called Villager. It might have been with that Christmas, I'll be honest. But that was the first coffee I had that I was like, okay, yep, good coffee is different. I would just drink that and a couple other brands that were good. But yeah, it wasn't until last year when I started Coasters and Coffee that I kind of have gone crazy. I don't usually buy the same bag of coffee too many times. I will buy One Villager, and I will buy if they have their Ethiopian natural. I got to snag that. But I generally I'm always trying new coffees. I think I'm over 52 or so since I started Coasters and Coffee. I have lots of coffee all the time. It's really cool. I will sometimes get all of the bags out that I have and put them on my counter and send it to people and be like, I have a problem. But yeah, so credit to my wife. She got me a French press. She got me my favorite coffee still to this day. And she just gets the best coffees. I don't know. She finds these coffees that I've never heard of. and then they're delicious and they're amazing. So she's awesome, and it's all props go to her. She's lost a lot of cabinet space and counter space because of it, but overall it's been really cool. So that's my story with coffee. I went from your frappuccinos, Donnie, to just started getting black. I mean, I will drink like a latte or whatever, but I'm very picky about them because almost everybody makes them wrong, and it's very hard to find one that isn't just sweet. You know, when I find those, right. When I find those, I get really excited, and I will rant about them. So that's sort of my story with coffee.
Nice. And if you had to drink one coffee for the rest of your life, you cannot switch it up. This is your drink till the grave. What would it be?
Do I have unlimited funding?
Sure.
Okay. So at the PA Chocolate and Coffee Festival last year, I got to sample. It's from a roaster called Samia Coffee Roasters, and it's a pink bourbon, which is like a kind of rare strand of coffee. And it's called the Jose Geraldo. I'm going to butcher that name, I'm sure. I went back to buy it because it was fantastic, and it is not in my price range right now. So it would be that, or it would be Villager by One Village, because that pink bourbon. I don't know if the wow wears off, but that was another one where after drinking coffee for a long time, you take a sip and you're like, this one's different. This is a very unique and special coffee. And I've had some other really good ones since then, but those two, One Village, Villager is always going to be near and dear to my heart, and it's a fantastic coffee. And then that pink bourbon.
Pink ribbon. There you go, everybody. Go get you some pink ribbon.
Pink bourbon.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Where's your go-to coffee place? Are you a Hortons or Tim Hortons, Dunkin'?
So I'm not really big on coffee chains. I'm usually through other means inundated with gift cards for them. Kind of a weird thing with my actual day job where I get lots of Starbucks gift cards, but I wouldn't really say like I don't have Dunkin's not a go-to, or like Starbucks isn't a go-to. If I was to pick a chain, there's not a lot of them, but Dutch Bros is really good. I think they're more like a Midwest. I've gotten them in like Salt Lake City and places like that. I like a Caribou Coffee. Caribou Coffee is pretty good. But a go-to coffee shop. We have a really good one. It's about 5 feet from my house. It's not that close, but I could walk there if it was more accessible. And they have a fantastic cold brew, and they're called Cup of Joy. And so I'll give them a shout out. And if you're ever in the Philly suburbs and you're looking for something really good, look up Cup of Joy. They have fantastic smoothie bowls, but their coffee is really good as well. They utilize a roaster called Valerio, and they're in that roaster is in Audubon. But yeah, they're really good. I've never been to the Valerio Cafe though, so I'll just give that shout out to Cup of Joy. They make a great cold brew. I bought the same beans they use, and they just do it better than me. I don't know what it is. So tell me their secret. And then probably my all-time favorite coffee shop would be, it's called Birchin Lane, and that's in Myrtle Beach.
Ooh,
very good.
Yeah, I had to write that down. Cup of Joy
when we're in the Philly area.
And you better let me know too. If I find out you go to Cup of Joy and you don't tell me you're there, I'm going to be really hurt.
My wife loves coffee
too, so
that'd be a go-to place when we're out in the old PA.
It's
tough here. But cool. And the transition between coasters and coffee, or coffee and coasters now. I asked you this earlier. And I wanted to give you a heads up for this crazy question that I've never asked anyone in my life. If you could take any kind of coffee, if you could create your own coffee and tag it with a coaster theme, which coaster would it be, and what would the drink be?
Okay. And I'm glad you told me this in advance, because there was no way I would have been well prepared for this. I would go with...
This is a good one, y'all.
I would go with a ride to happiness theme, and I would call it the grind to happiness, and it would be a mocha, and it would be spun in a blender because we've got that spinning coaster element going on,
Yeah.
and it would be a mocha using Belgian chocolate,
Mhm.
and we would have a nice Belgian waffle garnish with either like a chocolate syrup or a maple syrup. I've never had Belgian waffles, but whatever people put on them. And then you could throw like a dollop of whipped cream on there as well and get yourself a grind to happiness.
There you go, y'all. And I think we may just make a post out of this. We'll put this recipe for you all to try out, the grind to happiness. So
I'll start workshopping.
stay tuned. What was that?
I'll start workshopping it.
Hey, there we go. We're going to do a whole... That's what you need to do on Coasters and Coffees is just make all these themed coffees to coasters.
I love it.
Man, you would have so many fans going out the wazoo. I tell you what, man, you will be proud. I think you'll be better than Coaster Studios, man. People will be flocking to you.
You flatter me.
But now let's talk about coasters.
Yes.
So, how did you become a coaster enthusiast? How did your love for coasters begin? What was your first coaster? And just tell us your coaster story.
Okay. Grew up going to parks with my parents, which, man, we go with them still now. And I'll tell you what, they didn't have grandparents. We didn't have grandparents helping out. So just going to parks with my kids makes me realize just how much parents give up to give their kids a good time at a park. Because, man, shout out to my parents. They must have watched a lot of really cool coasters and not gotten to ride them so that I could ride the whip 15 more times. But we grew up going to Hershey Park and spent a lot of time at Knoebels as well. And so actually my first coaster memory is on Super Duper Looper. Mm-hmm. My dad finally talked me into riding it. And we go through the ride and everything's good. We hit the brake run at the end. And or maybe it was on the lift hill. I wish I remembered the story a little better. But I start screaming and crying. Oh. Well, he's trying to calm me down, screaming inconsolably. And he looks, and a nickel flew out of someone's pocket on Great Bear and hit me in the face to the extent that he could see the year of the nickel. And so that's my first coaster memory. And it's a cool reminder every time I'm in the hollow at Hershey Park that those nets, I had a part in that because they didn't sue. They didn't do anything. They reported what happened and nets went up. And so, it's kind of, that's my memory. And and then just kind of continuing to ride with my dad and my mom, but mostly my dad. We still ride coasters a lot together. It was just something that I grew up doing, and it's really cool having a lot of cool sentimental coasters like Great Bear, Lightning Racer. I remember riding Lightning Racer 1 million times in a row, maybe 2 million. There was some records set that day, but that was probably like my big coaster at the time would have been Lightning Racer, and just kind of got out of it for a while. We stopped going to parks. I stopped going to parks, and then I don't even remember. I think my wife and I got like a deal on tickets, and we're gonna go to Hershey. Well, my family just was like, oh, we're gonna go too. So my wife got pregnant, and we didn't go to Hershey until the end of the year. But my family, they went like twice, and they're like, we're getting season passes. And I'm like, oh, cool. And that kind of just reignited it. So now they're actually at Knoebels right now, and my nephew is lapping flying turns apparently, and so we're a coaster family, and awesome. It's cool. It's something that we're like 3 generations deep now, and it's really fantastic. Awesome. It's so cool. My daughter looks at me, tells me all the coasters she's gonna ride with me and with my wife and with mom and pop, and it's just amazing. It's a silly hobby, and to see what it can become for your family and what you can do with things like Ride of Your Life is just so cool. It's a cool community. I'm happy to be a part of it.
Awesome, man. Yeah, coaster community is pretty cool, and just all the connections you can make. It's so awesome.
Yeah,
and just people have common goals and common like passions, and it's just neat to see that and to just relate with people and connect with people you never thought you would connect with is probably one of the coolest things about it. So
And everybody's so welcoming, man. We got to do our first media day over at Great Adventure, and I'm there, and I'm
Nice.
like, I am so low on the totem pole, and everybody like is acting like, oh, coasters and coffee, like tell me all about it. And I'm like, yeah, you've got like 100,000 followers on everything that you do. I've got not that many, but hey, tell me about it. What do you? How do you know? It's just cool. It's a really cool community. No, there's not a lot of. I've never interacted with any big timers, right? Anybody who's too cool, like. It's a great community.
It really is. It's like, hey, let me tell you about the grind of happiness. Have coasters and coffee. I'm like, what? But you're right. Just the interactions are just awesome, and just cool people you'll meet through media days, meetups, and stuff like that. It's just really cool. And what would you say are your top 5 coasters that you've ridden?
Am I allowed to go on log ride, or does this have to be to the best memory I have? Let's go back.
Go for it. I can't tell you how many times I've cheated on this podcast and have had to refer to log ride.
I will bring up log ride real quick, and I can tell you right now, Wildcat's Revenge is number 1. That is the easiest of everything I've written so far. That thing is incredible. I can't say enough about it. And the re-rideability, to have a ride that intense with that much going on, it's got everything. Hang time, air time. It feels like it wants to launch you into outer space, but it's so butter smooth, except for that brake run that you slam into at the end. But that's all good. That's my number 1, and nothing's come close. I mean, I've got some cool trips coming up, and we might topple it, but it's been since it opened. We were out there for the pass holder preview. I just haven't ridden anything that touches it. Number 2 would be Pantheon. I just love it. I love Pantheon. It's very similar. It's an intense coaster, but it has infinite re-rideability. The reverse spike, that floater down that reverse spike is fantastic. It was close. I already shared this with you, but I rode with my wife for the first time, and we hit the brake run at the end, and I said, I think that might be it. But then we rode Wildcat's Revenge a couple weeks later, and we didn't even get to the lift hill before I was looking at her, and she knew by the look of my face. She's like, nope, you're going to tell me this is number 1. Okay, so I'm going to get controversial here.
Okay.
My number 3 is Candemonium.
Okay.
Now, again, I've been at Hershey Park quite a bit, but I love Candemonium. I think the first drop is fantastic. It's, again, just so smooth, so enjoyable. People can say it's an oversized family coaster. That's not a detraction to me. It's got great airtime, and if it's a coaster everyone can enjoy, then it's a coaster everyone can enjoy. And I just love Candemonium. Again, there'll be some shakeups as we start to get on some more stuff, but really like Candemonium. And then I'm going to stay controversial. I've got Iron Menace with number 4. So give me the baby dives. I love Iron Menace. I know the hold is a gimmick, but it's still enjoyable. I like the varied layout. It's small, it's compact, it's not taking up a lot of space, but I like that you've got several different elements. You've got hang time, you've got a little bit of air time on that drop, and then the tilted loop is just kind of fun. So I love Iron Menace. I'm happy to be a part of the Iron Menace fan club. And then number 5, I have Sky Rush. I mean, that thing is crazy. I've ridden it, with both seats. I honestly don't think that the new restraints have made it any different. I think it still feels out of control in a good way. I love that first drop. That and Candemonium, just 2 fantastic first drops. That little kink they threw in there, that was an engineering marvel. I don't know, to tilt track just a little bit like that, and somehow you get 2 airtime drops. I don't know. It's awesome. But yeah, it's got a really cool layout. It's a really fast coaster, and to kind of go that fast through that twister layout, it's just, there's not really anything like it. Even its big brother, I-305, which is a naming hill that I will die on. Even I-305 or Pantherian. It's a little different. It's not quite that tangled mess of a coaster, and so we'll get on there one day, and it'll probably bump Sky Rush out of that top 5. But that's my current top 5 right now. I'm unapologetic about my rankings. If I love Candemonium and I love Iron Menace, and I love Hydra too. I rank Hydra really high, so I'm cool with it.
Yeah. That's a solid list. I'll give you those. I love all those rides on that list. And I will say this about Iron Menace. You can say whatever you want about it. It's got the rattle, it's too short, it's dive coaster, whatever. But it's what Dorney Park needed.
Mhm.
Dorney Park needed that love, and the Steelyard provided that love.
Yes.
It's the step in the right direction for theming. The story is phenomenal
Yes.
for Steelyard and Iron Menace. And having it right next to that haunted house in that facade just ties everything together. So cool. I love it. But I got to ask you this about Stormrunner. Are you the elevated seat or Skyrush? Skyrush. Are you the elevated seat or on the sides? Which one are you?
I honestly didn't ride, just through like unfortunate chance. I didn't really get a wing seat ride for probably about 5 or 7 or so rides on it. And I used to kind of give my sister a little bit of grief because she loves Skyrush. I'm like, it's fine. I'm like, it's okay. Like, it's fun, but it's not what it's made out to be. And then I rode back row both wings, not at the same time.
Nice.
And I texted her when I got off, and I was like, yeah, okay. I'm like, it just jumped about 10 spots into my top 5. I'm like, that is on the wing. That is a very different beast. And so I'm a wing seat guy. Yeah, I don't think they're for everybody, but it's kind of that nice option. You can sit on the middle and kind of have a little bit more of a tame ride, or you can get the Skyrush experience. But I mean, to me, it was at like 10 or so spot jump. I mean, it's pretty good.
Yeah, I love those wing seats, especially with the new restraints and everything. It makes it a lot more enjoyable.
Yeah.
The seats were needed.
I think even the updates to it, they did some cool stuff. Theming it out to the flying first class, and they did what they could with a cinder block building. And so it's cool. Yeah, I like every change they made to it.
Yeah,
seemed to make it more reliable too. So yeah, whatever. Something went on with the cars clearly, and it was good. Kudos to Hershey. They I'll give them their loves, but they identify problems and with their coasters, and they generally resolve them. And not a lot of parks, especially at a certain large chain, are great at that. So I will give them props for that. They ran Skyrush with one car. It was uncomfortable for half a year, and then identified the problem and got it working. So yeah, that's a good ride. I like Skyrush. I still don't think I'm as high on it as most. Like, I'm pretty sure most enthusiasts are like, you have Candemonium and Iron Menace over Skyrush. What are you talking about? But it's still, I think that's a really good ride, and that'll be a hard one to shuffle out of the top 5 one day. And who knows, maybe it'll stay, and maybe other space will be made. But
what would you like to see Hershey add in the future?
I want everybody to add a Giga, because I really want to ride one, and they never work out for me. No, I would love a Giga, of course, but airports and stuff, can't do that. And I would have really enjoyed a dive, but with Iron Menace going in, it's not a practical thing to add. So I think like a modern launch coaster. Love Stormrunner. Love Stormrunner. It's in my top 10. Fantastic coaster. Something with a longer layout and some LMSs, because we're not doing hydraulics anymore. It's too much of a mess. But yeah, so a real like a high end, either a Mac or an Intamin multi-launch coaster, I think would be a really good addition to that lineup. As an enthusiast, as a parent and someone with a family, like a nice family multi-launch, like a Big Bear Mountain, something like that, because they don't really have that go-between coaster. You go kind of from like Super Duper Looper, which is, my dad will, every time you ride it with him, remind you that was the big coaster back in the day. But you kind of go from like your Trailblazer and your Super Duper Looper into a little bit more of the larger and intense rides. And so I think something like a Big Bear Mountain, or a good family coaster, like a family invert, would be a good addition as well.
Cool. And if you were to add a family coaster, which candy would you use? Or what candy do you think?
Twister or Twizzlers. They had their opportunity. Some bright red track, like a small. I mean, Big Bear Mountain. It's red, but Twizzlers would have been a really cool one. I don't know if with Twisted Gravity going in, if that'll be the case, but I would do that. I think you could have some fun with some theming there.
And I got to ask you this question earlier, but going back to the thing of coffee, if you could theme a coaster after coffee, what would the coaster be?
So I instantly go to like a dive coaster where instead of a tunnel, we've got like a nice steaming cup of coffee you're diving into. Something like that. Maybe we theme it out like Good Gravy or something. Give it a really good story. I'm not creative enough to think of a story, but I could see I think it'd be kind of cool if you've ever done Chocolate World, but coffee beans. Learn more about the coffee process and things like that. And so, we could have theming elements and we could have different things going on in the queue and stuff like that. And then, you get your dive, you kind of go up the harvester, dive into a big old cup of coffee, and you have a good time. Maybe Six Flags Over Texas, new Giga Dive. Maybe that's what they're going to do.
Sponsored by Starbucks. Presented by Starbucks. Gosh. I'm tired of these sponsorships. Okay, so side tangent here, y'all. At the time of this recording, Kings Island just now started getting sponsored by, presented by. So Halloween Haunt this year is sponsored by Snickers, and our 4th of July celebration is sponsored by M&M's. It's like, I don't want to see this.
It's confusing. We've already got Hershey Park. We don't need more candy-themed stuff.
That's what Kings Island will be. It'll be a king-size park. It will be a king-size candy bar park.
Little merger action going on there.
There you go. Hershey's going to buy everybody. Six Flags is no more. It's all going to be Hershey, and we're going to be right. Everybody's getting Candemonium. Everybody's getting all these. I'll take it over DC, but
we'll change every Goliath to Candemonium. It'll be great.
Yes. The king size. Oh man, goodness. I can't unthink that now. But that was a good idea there you had of a dive coaster going to a cup of coffee. And I'm thinking like Jolly Rancher Remix. You go in, you smell the coffee. That would be awesome.
You got to have, and the exit, instead of going through like a little gift shop or like a photo booth or whatever, it's just a coffee shop because you've got thousands of people a day just smelling coffee on the ride, and then they get off and they're in a coffee shop.
Yeah.
And they're drinking a grind of happiness, and it's a good life.
Yes, they are. But it's got to be one coffee scent and not like a million different ones, like Jolly Rancher Remix. Like there's so many flavors going on in that tunnel. It's starting to get nasty.
I like it. I think that's a brilliant idea. We should start a coffee themed amusement park.
Well, let's do it. Coffee World.
Yes.
Oh man. Goodness. Anyways, what is a bucket list coaster for you? We'll start with that. What's a bucket list coaster that you want to?
The number one, my number one most wanted coaster is Fury 325. Again, dying for a Giga. Love me a B&M, and to ride their Magnus Opus, it would be. I mean, that's my goal. That's what I want to do. Rounding that out, I've got Velocicoaster. I had a hard time going between like Steel Vengeance and Iron Gwazi. Ultimately, I just want to ride both of them, but I would love to get on one of the top tier RMCs. I mean, I love Wildcats Revenge. If you tell me there's something bigger and better than it, made by the same person, come on, or the same company, we gotta do it. But yeah, so Fury, Velocicoaster, Gwazi, or Steel Vengeance. I already kind of talked to you about this, but I try to keep it realistic, but I do have Ride to Happiness on there just because it's so unique. I'm not going to kid anybody and pretend I'm going on a international coaster tour, but Ride to Happiness is going to be on there up until somebody builds something similar in the United States. Or I ride Time Traveler and it scratches that itch. And then kind of funny, my top 5, number 5 is Sky Rush. And then my top 5 most wanted, number 5 is Pantherian. And so I thought it was kind of a funny parallel. It was one of those things where I put the list together for my year-end review. And I was like, oh, that's kind of funny. They're like cousins.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be kind of my top 5 right now.
Cool.
That I want to get on.
Yeah, good top 5. And Hopefully we get that spinner out here in the U.S. The crazy one. I mean, Traveler's great, but it's not Ride to Happiness. We need the Ride to Happiness times 100 here in the U.S.
I'm drawing a blank here. I think it's still going to be somewhere in Europe, but they're building an extreme spinner that allegedly is going to be Ride the Happiness or more. It's not the tower. I promise you that.
Goodness.
I think it's also themed to music because I think that's what Ride to Happiness is too. It's the Tomorrowland theme, but I am drawing a total blank on where it's going and what the whole story. But it's in the works.
Yeah, I'll have to look and see which one that is. That sounds intriguing. It needs to come to the U.S. instead.
If only we had like little bricks in our pocket that we could look these things up on.
Nah. I'm curious now. But so, a question I've been asking a lot of our guests, especially like theme park coaster enthusiasts, with Epic Universe opening and got some pretty epic portals already open of movies and franchises. If you could open the next portal to any property, any IP, what would it be?
Oh man, this is hard for me 'cause I'm not like a big movie guy. Oh man, can I bail myself out real quick? It's another
Sure.
Plopsaland that's getting the extreme spinner. It's Plopsaland Dutchland,
Okay.
so Germany. So we'll have to go to Europe still for it. Okay, so oh man, we dove pretty hard into the coffee IP. That was a pretty good one.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like I feel like it would be more haunt related, but I really enjoyed the Annihilation film
Okay.
and the three books. I'm a big reader,
Mhm.
so I think that would be pretty cool. And then I'm really like I like steampunk, so I wouldn't mind seeing like steampunk kind of expand. I think it's a really cool concept. But if we have to go straight IP, maybe some Alex Garland stuff. So like Annihilation, Ex Machina. He does some pretty cool stuff. Or Dune. Dune's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Maybe too similar to Star Wars, sci-fi, space opera type deal. But
Hey.
Amusement parks hate trees. There's never trees to sit under, so Dune's perfect, right?
Mm-hmm. Bunch of sand.
Isn't that Six Flags Quidia? Sorry.
Yeah. If they could give us Falcon's Flight, absolutely. Bring on Doom. Give us Falcon's Flight. I don't think we could pull that off here in the U.S.
Too many.
I think Top Thrill is going to be our tallest coaster.
I think so.
Yeah.
It's fine. I'm not. You don't need to be tall. My favorite coaster at Hershey Park is 140 feet. So,
Yeah. Now, with that said, what is your favorite element of a coaster? What makes the best coaster for you? If it has this, what makes it the best?
Oh man, it doesn't make it the best coaster, but my goodness, the Flash Vertical Velocity, the one at Great Adventure,
Mhm.
not all the other ones. That inverted stall is unbelievable. It feels broken. It feels like you're stuck there. You just go so slow through that, especially in the back or the front, kind of depending on which way you're going through.
Mhm.
But I love hang time. I just don't think there's much else like it. I mean, I like everything. I like airtime. I like ejector, but that's really cool. And so similarly, I really enjoy JoJo rolls.
Mhm.
I'm a relatively skinny fella, and I like the oversized rider seat on Hydra because I just bounce around like a pinball in there, man. And I giggle like a kid, and it is a blast. But yeah, so I guess ultimately, like I love really good sustained hang time. So yeah,
Cool. That's a good element too, like a good JoJo roll.
we need more of them. I said
We do.
I did my great. I was writing my Great Adventure trip report, and I was like back and forth with Medusa and with Hydra, and ultimately I'm like they're similar enough that something stands out, and it's the JoJo roll. And I threw it in my review. I'm like, man, they put a JoJo roll on Medusa. We might be talking. Throw one on Dominator. Put it on everything.
Mhm. Absolutely.
It's like Frank's Red Hot. You just put it on everything.
Yeah. Oh, man. Well, as we bring this interview to a close, which has been a lot of fun, and I enjoyed talking with you about Christ Coasters and coffee, and I'm gonna wrap this up with, what is some advice you want to give listeners? What are some takeaways you want to leave listeners with this week on the pod?
Life's too short to drink bad coffee.
Yeah, true.
Just be bold in your faith. I struggle with that, and one thing I would love to do is witness to more people, and I'm afraid to do so. And it's something that I would love. I want to take more opportunities to, but I would say, be bold in your faith. Go forth, be bold, be brave, and just show your loved ones you loved them. If you haven't talked to a loved one, reach out, tell them you love them, tell your parents you love them. I'm blessed to never have been in this situation, but there's no bridge between a parent and a child or someone in your family that you can't mend, that can't be fixed. And, damage is irreversible, but we can move forward. So life's short, reach out to the ones you love and spend a lot of time with them. Put your phones away, or if you got the phone out, take a picture, take a video, and enjoy your loved ones.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's some good advice there too, is don't take it for granted, and enjoy every moment, live every day like it's your last. Like, just remember the little things in life that matters. Coasters are great. Coffee is amazing. And most importantly, we've seen first make sure we're being a light to those around us, and then just spending time with the ones that God gave us, and cherish the moments.
Amen.
Good stuff. Another one that we ask our guests for every episode. So every Saturday, we like to highlight a song that means something to us. What is a song you would like to highlight this week for the Song Spotlight?
Okay. Since it's going on a playlist for people to listen to, I will put my metal aside. And I don't know if it's on there already, but we are Messengers Wholehearted.
Okay.
Yeah, that's probably the song that really kicked in to gear I'm kind of purging my Spotify from everything I used to listen to, and I'm primarily Christian and children music. So we got Blippi and Bluey and all that fun stuff too. Nice. But we are Messengers Wholehearted. It just means a lot to me. That's the song that made me dive deep and started to get that release radar every Friday filled with Christian music. But if you're a metal fan and you're listening to this, check out Reveries of Flight by O Sleeper. It kind of reflects back on my testimony, which I think is why it's something that I enjoy listening to so much. And it's a pretty cool kind of a conversation where the Lord and someone is speaking. And I won't spoil too much, but listen to it and look at the lyrics. It's a cool song if you're into metal. And O Sleeper does some cool stuff.
So Wholehearted and
O Sleeper. Who was the artist for O Sleeper?
O Sleeper is the artist. The song is Reveries of Flight.
Okay. Had to write that down.
Cool.
Let me know your thoughts if you listen to it. It's really cool.
Cool. Yeah, we know a lot of our listeners and followers love the Christian rock. They love the Christian metal. So I think that will hit home for a lot of them. So
cool. Yeah, my 6-year-old nephew is getting super into metal, and it's really fun sharing the songs I grew up listening to, and then the bands I grew up listening to with him. So it's been really cool. He's a little metalhead, and it's a lot of fun. Maybe I'm a cool uncle. I don't know.
Nice. Man. Well, it sounds like you are the fun uncle. So awesome, man. Well, Aaron, we do appreciate you coming on. But before we call this episode an end, how can folks get connected with you? How can they get connected with Coasters and Coffee?
So coastersandcoffee.com, coasters and then the letter N, coffee.com. I'm also on Instagram. Same thing. It's just Coasters and Coffee. I have a Facebook. I'm working on getting Instagram figured out better, but I share what I can over to Facebook. That's just Coasters and like the little N symbol, Coffee. I have Twitter, but don't go there. It's just not. I don't do anything there. So really, my big thing is my blog, my website, coastersandcoffee.com. and then my Instagram. And would love to hear from anybody. And I've got comments. I added that with my upgrade to WordPress, so we've got comments available. You can hop into conversations there or reach out to me via Instagram. Would love to chat with any of you, pray with any of you, anything really. If you want a coffee recommendation, anything like that.
Awesome. And that's where you can find the recipe for the grind to happiness.
You're putting too much pressure on me to get this done. I move slow, friend. Well, I'll get it worked out. I just got to get my hands on Belgian chocolate. I don't know where one would get that from. And waffles.
Okay. Come on out to Ohio. We have something called Jungle Gyms where it has like food from across the world. I mean, like all over the world. So I'm sure there's some good Belgian chocolate and Belgian waffles there. So.
I need to remember what the coffee shop was that I stopped at when I was out there. They were really good. I still need to work on my review, but we had a kid between now and then, and it's kind of got pushed back. I'll have to reach out to you and let you know. Oh, Stoff's Coffee. They're really good. There's a couple of them. Apparently it's a small chain, but Stoff's Coffee. Shout out to them too. You're doing good stuff in Columbus.
Good stuff, man.
Yeah, I'll have to
Check them out as well.
so write that down.
Man, this is just an episode of recommendations, y'all.
That's what I did.
And that's why you need to go check out coastersandcoffee.com. Go see some recommendations on some good coffee and some good coasters and some good parks. So, yeah. So, thank you, Aaron, for joining us this week. It's been a pleasure talking with you, and we're glad that you were the first guest of this season. So, kicking it off on the right track.
That's a privilege. I'm honored. Hopefully got us off to a good start.
Yes, sir, it has, and we're excited for what the future holds for Coasters and Coffee and just you in general. So, thanks again, Aaron. We'll hopefully have you back in the future.
I'm down.